January 1945, Lingayen Gulf, Philippines. The Allied advance has stalled at an active airstrip under constant Japanese bombardment. To coordinate defense, the 26th Photo Reconnaissance Squadron needed a communications link across this taxiway, a strip of dirt holding 40 P-38 Lightning fighter planes. Digging a trench was the standard solution, but the project would take 3 days. During that time, 250 ground crewmen would be exposed to air raids, and the 40 aircraft would be grounded. There was one other option, a 70-foot drainage culvert running beneath the taxiway. If a wire could be pulled through this metal pipe, the planes could stay in place. However, silt and soil had packed into the pipe's joints. At several points, the clearance narrowed to just 4 inches. No human or existing tool could navigate a tunnel that small. The ability to keep the Pacific Campaign operational at this critical juncture depended on an engineering problem the military's heavy machinery could not solve. Months earlier, a soldier in New Guinea discovered a 4-pound Yorkshire Terrier shivering in an abandoned jungle foxhole. She was fully grown yet small enough to sit inside a GI helmet. In 1944, Yorkies were practically non-existent in the United States. Finding one in a remote, malaria-ridden jungle was a statistical anomaly. Most soldiers assumed she was an exotic Japanese breed. Corporal William A. Wynne, a 22-year-old aerial photographer, bought the dog for the equivalent of $6.44. He called her Smoky. Because Smoky wasn't an official military dog, she received no serial number, no canine rations, and no access to veterinary care. Despite her lack of rank, this civilian stray was about to become one of the squadron's most valuable strategic assets. Smoky adapted to the Pacific by eating canned spam and bathing in Wine's helmet. She survived 4 months of running on shark coral without developing the paw ailments that frequently sideline much larger official war dogs. She also endured more than 150 Japanese air raids. While many soldiers suffered battle fatigue, Smoky never showed panic. Their bond was tested under fire at Okinawa. Stationed on a landing ship tank, the deck vibrated under the force of the ship's anti-aircraft guns. Smoky sensed the incoming artillery before any human aboard. She physically steered wind to duck moments before a strike hit the deck, killing 8 men standing near them. In the middle of a global conflict, the soldier and his dog had developed a life-saving reliance on one another. Back at Lingayen Gulf, the 26th Photo Reconnaissance Squadron realized that Smoky was the only creature small enough to fit through that 4-inch gap in the drainage pipe. Wine tied a kite string to Smoky's collar. If she could reach the other side, the men could pull the heavy telephone cables through using the string. Smoky crawled into the dark, 70-foot metal tube. The interior was choked with silt, with corrugated metal walls pressing against her 4-pound frame. She had no landmarks and no understanding of the mission's importance. She moved through the darkness solely because she heard Wynn's voice calling from the far opening. She emerged minutes later. The kite string was pulled through, followed by 3 thick cables, establishing the squadron's communication network. That single 70-foot journey kept 40 combat aircraft operational and shielded 250 ground crewmen from 3 days of enemy fire. While the pipe mission was her most tactical achievement, her longest-lasting work began when Wine was admitted to a New Guinea field hospital. Nurses noticed Smoky's effect on other patients. With Wynn's permission, they began taking her on daily rounds to visit soldiers suffering from severe wounds and battle trauma. Men who had been unresponsive for weeks began to speak and smile. The small dog provided a focus that drew their attention away from their injuries. Science now identifies the physiological mechanism at work here. Interacting with a dog causes a spike in oxytocin, while simultaneously reducing cortisol, the hormone associated with stress and trauma. These 1944 visits represent the first documented use of a therapy dog in a military setting, an informal experiment that would later be recognized by the Mayo Clinic. After the war, Wine hid Smoky inside a modified oxygen mask bag to smuggle her past military inspectors. She arrived in the United States and immediately entered the public eye. Her wartime exploits and photogenic appearance introduced the Yorkshire Terrier to a national audience. In 1945, there were only 92 registrations for the breed. Today, that number is closer to 60,000 annually. For the next 12 years, Smoky continued her visits to veterans' hospitals. She died in 1957, leaving behind a legacy that transformed the Yorkie into a household name. War is often defined by massive machinery and global movements, but sometimes the most significant shift in a soldier's life comes from a 4-pound stray who simply refused to leave his side.